Good evening, residents, small businesses, and everyone here watching the City of Newark's Facebook Live. I am Allison Ladd, the Deputy Mayor for Economic and Housing Development for the City of Newark, Mayor Rajay Baraka. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar and informational session that'll help you access funding that's available for small businesses. As you know, during the last 18 months, this has been a very unique and tough time for many of our small businesses, not only here in the city of Newark, but across the state and across the country. So cities like ours and partners like those that you'll hear from today have been working quickly and diligently to find ways to bring resources to you. And tonight, we are excited to bring you this great set of panelists who are going to tell you all about the small business grants, other small business resources, and how you can access some funding to help you during this time as we all look towards COVID-19, hoping we want it to come to an end. So we're hopeful, but we know that despite the fact that we're still in the midst of it, that we can bring resources to you today, and we'll be really excited to bring it to you. So a couple things as we get started. First, we are translating this in Spanish. Unfortunately, our Portuguese translator is unable to join us this evening at the last minute. And so we're going to ask you to email us at Newark. Let me take that back. We're going to ask you to email us at ehd@ci.newark.nj.us to seek information about how you can get a translation as needed for Portuguese. However, tonight we are live streaming in both English and in Spanish. Second, for our questions and answers, we will have a moderation at the end of the session. So we'll let all of our speakers speak first, and then we'll have a Q&A. So we look forward to a vibrant question and answer at the end of the speakers this evening. So as I introduce the panelists, I just wanted to share that Mayor Baraka knows that this is a very important time for all of the businesses that are working to thrive and also survive this COVID-19 pandemic. So one of the first things that he wanted to do was release another round of small business grants. So this will be our fourth round for our businesses here in the city of Newark. So we wanted to help businesses that have been long established as well as newly established, some that are home-based and some that are in leased retail spaces. So we want to help as many businesses as we can. And the program that you'll hear about tonight is designed to do just that. So the mayor was committing $2 million to the Small Business Grant Round 4. And so this informational session will help you access those dollars through the process. And you're going to hear from Janine Hazard-Williams and Tim Jensen from the City of Newark team, who will be able to share with you how you can apply for those dollars. Second, you're also going to hear from our great partners at New Jersey Economic Development Administration. Maggie Peters is with us tonight, and we're just delighted that she's willing to come talk with us, share programs and services that are available to small businesses in the city of Newark and across the state of New Jersey. So you'll also hear from Maggie shortly, and you'll be able to ask questions about the programs that EDA offers. And to close us out, we have Victor Salama, who's with GNEC, which is the Greater Newark Economic Corporation. I think I got that right, Victor. And I know you'll be able to fix that when we get to your remarks. But Victor also has programs that he's administering for small businesses across the region as well as within the city of Newark. So we're really glad that Victor was able to join us. So with that, what I'd like to do is just, again, welcome you on behalf of Mayor Rajay Baraka to this informational session. You're going to hear from three different types of speakers tonight, from city to state to regional, who are all here to try to help provide resources to you in real time. So with that, I will introduce Janine Hazard-Williams. She is the manager of our Housing and Finance division within Economic and Housing Development. She's been a leader in finding solutions, finding creative financing options for our businesses and our residents so that we can unlock federal dollars and bring them right to your doorstep. So Janine, thank you so much for being here tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Sure. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ladd, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight to hear about our Small Business Assistance Program. Tonight, I will actually give you an overview of the program, go through the eligibility requirements, and as well as walk you through the application. So I'm going to ask my colleague, Tim, if he can actually share his screen with the application and go over the program. So.
Okay, can you see it okay?
I can. Thanks, Tim.
No problem.
So this Small Business Assistance Program is actually round 4. So we will actually be giving out grants of up to $15,000. So the program is essentially to help the city to provide financial assistance to small businesses and assist them with continuing to, mitigate the impact that COVID-19 has had and provide assistance in obtaining employees. So as I said before, the grant will provide up to $15,000 to small businesses to help continue them to operate and retain employees. So as part of this grant program, nonprofit organizations are not eligible for this grant. So some of the application guidelines in order to be eligible for the program is that you have to have a valid business license issued by the City of Newark in order to be eligible for the program. We do understand that there are some businesses that are exempt from having a City of Newark business license. If you are exempt, then you will need to provide a New Jersey state issued business registration certificate or a state issued business license as proof of exemption. You also have to be a for-profit business with a physical location in the City of Newark. You need to have 25 employees or less, have been in operation for at least 1 year from the submission date of this application, and the business has to be currently open and operational. Also, to be eligible for the grant, you have to experience a direct loss of income due to COVID-19. Now, this eligibility requirement is important. If you did not receive a Small Business Assistance Grant Award from the City of Newark from the most recent round in 2021, you are eligible to receive the grant. So in 2020, the city had rounds 1 and 2. If you did receive a grant in 2020, you can apply for this grant in round 4. However, if you were an awardee in round 3 of 2021, you are not eligible for the grant. And then last but not least, you have to have no threatening or pending litigation or obligations against the applicant. Now, the application is primarily designed for for-profit sized businesses, which are defined as businesses with 25 employees or less. The eligible small businesses will be selected by a committee guided by the above criteria and will be weighted based on proven need, Newark residents employed, and if you are a minority women-owned business enterprise. So this is not a grant that will be given on a first come, first served basis. It will be scored, the applications. Once you fulfill the eligibility requirements, you will be invited to submit the application, and there will be documentation that will be needed to be submitted at the end of the application. What you will need to submit is a valid business license that is issued by the City of Newark, your 2019 and 2020 corporate tax returns and or your 2021 quarterly filings, payroll employee information, and your payroll employee information must list the names of your employees, the addresses, and their income. And then you need to submit evidence of hardship or your losses due to COVID. So you have to prove that you were impacted by COVID. It could be rent, invoices, mortgage statements, utility bills, things of that nature to support your need. And then also, if you're a minority-owned business or women-owned business, you will need to submit a certificate at the end of the application. So for assistance in Spanish or Portuguese, you can email capitalconsulting@investnorth.org. They are partners with us in this program, and they can assist you if you need assistance in Spanish or Portuguese. For all other questions regarding the grant program, or if you have questions about the application, you can email ehd@ci.newark.nj.us. As it was mentioned earlier, you may qualify for a grant up to $15,000. That is the max. The application period will run for 2 weeks. So the application opened on September 10th, last Friday at 12:00 p.m. And the deadline to submit applications is September 24th at 5:00 p.m. So it's important that you meet the deadline for submission, because any applications submitted after 5:00 on September 24th will not be accepted. The applications will be reviewed in October, and then grants will be awarded throughout the month of November. So if you have fulfilled all of the eligibility requirements, we welcome you to submit an application. And it is important that at the time that you begin the application, that you have all of the documentations that is required, because you will need to upload those documents at the end of the application. You will not be able to go back and save, well, you won't be able to save the application and go back later on to upload or make any changes. You will have to submit a whole new application. So it's important that at the beginning, you have all of your required documentations before you actually start the application process. Okay, so Tim, we can go to question number 1. Start walking through the application. So the first question is were you awarded a city-funded grant for COVID-19 impact relief in 2021? Once again, if you did receive a grant from the city of Newark in round 3 of 2021, you will not be eligible to apply. However, if you did receive a grant in 2020 from our rounds 1 and 2, you are eligible to apply. Question number 2, does your business have a valid business license issued by the city of Newark? As an eligibility requirement, you should have a valid city of Newark business license, but there are some businesses that are not required to have a valid city of Newark business license. So if you are exempt, you would check exempt, but if you do not have a valid city of Newark business license and you don't fall within one of those industries that are not required, then you are not eligible for the grant. Number 3, is this business a for-profit with a physical location in Newark? The answer is should be yes. If it is not, then you are not eligible for the grant. Number 4, does this business have more than 25 employees? As it was indicated, this is a small business grant, so you have to have from 1 to 25 employees. If you have more than 25, you will not be eligible for the program. Question number 5, has this business been in operation for at least a year? The answer is yes or no. If you have not, then you are not eligible for the grant. And number 6, is your business currently open and operational? Your business has to be open and operating. If you have ceased all operations, you will not be eligible for the grant. So if you haven't met all of those eligibility requirements, then you can continue on to question number 7 and continue to complete the application. So number 7 just asks for your primary business name, your primary business address, city and state and zip. Number 9, when was your business established? And you would just pick the month, the date, and the year. And then 10, you would put in your personal contact information, your phone number, and your email address. So it is important that when you put in your email address, that it is the correct email address and that it is a valid email address, because this is how you will get communication from the city in terms of grant awards or any questions that we may have. So just make sure that when you put in your email address, that it is the correct email address and that is a valid email address. Next, you will need to put in your home address, city, state, zip code, and then question number 11. How much in emergency funding are you requesting based on evidence of hardship? So the limit is $15,000. So we would suggest that whatever your request is, you can submit documentation to support your request. And we ask that you not ask for more than you actually need. So if you ask for $15,000, your documentation that you submit, whereas your expenses that are eligible, should support the $15,000. If it's less than $15,000, then you may be granted based on the documentation amount that you submit. Question number 12, what will you use these grant funds for? Please check all that apply. So the grant funds can be used for rent. They can be used for mortgage, utilities, payroll, accounts payable, inventory, and PPE, COVID-related equipment for adaptation and recovery, and any other expenses that you may want to submit that help with the day-to-day operations of your business. So you can submit those as well. Number 13, we just asked how many employees do you have in your business? As you know, the maximum that you can have is 25. So you would just check off if you have one, if you have 6 to 10 or 11 to 25, whatever number of employees that you have, you would just check the appropriate box. Then we also want to know how many of your employees are Newark residents. As part of their criteria that will be scored, we are giving a prioritization to businesses who hire Newark residents. So the question number 14, how many of your employees are Newark residents? We just need to know exactly how many you have for your business. 15, how many employees do you employ that are full-time and part-time? So you just fill in how many full-time employees you have and how many part-time employees you have. Is your business a minority, women, and or veteran-owned business enterprise? So you would just check all that apply. If you're an MBE, a WBE, or a veteran-owned business, or none of the above. 17, if you are an MBE, a WBE, or a veteran-owned business, we want to know, is your business a New Jersey state certified minority, business-owned, women, business-owned, or veteran-owned business? Number 18, is your business currently closed due to COVID-19? Your business should be open, so that should be yes. Will these funds help prevent business closure due to COVID-19 related loss of revenue? Just put yes or no. Question number 20, will these funds help prevent layoffs due to COVID related loss of revenue? So as you know, we want to give the grant because we want to help you retain as many employees as you can. So, hopefully these funds will prevent layoffs, due to COVID-related loss of revenue. So, it's either yes or no for that question as well. 21, if so, approximately how many layoffs will be averted? 22, have you reduced your staffing capacity? So yes, we have laid off employees or contract workers. Yes, we have reduced hours for employees and or contract workers. Or yes, we have laid off employee or contract workers and reduced hours. It could be both, or no, we have not reduced any staffing and currently operate at a pre-COVID capacity. Question 23, if you have laid off employee or contract workers, just please indicate how many, whether they're temporary layoffs or permanent layoffs. And 24, do you anticipate reducing staffing in the future as a result of COVID-19 crisis? So it's, yes, we plan to reduce employee contract workers, or yes, we plan to reduce hours for employee contract workers, or check whatever box is appropriate. Question 25, Now, which industry sector best describes your business? So as I indicated earlier, there are some businesses that are exempt from having a Newark business license. So you will need to check the appropriate box for which your business falls under. And based on the box that you check as well, will indicate whether or not you would be exempt from having a valid Newark business license. So these are all the categories. And then for question 26, we just want to know what is your primary product or service, and you can just describe a brief narrative of what your product or service is for your business. 27, your organization type, whether you're a sole proprietor, a privately held business with employees, you can be a franchise business owner, home-based, so you can just check whatever your organization type is for question 27. And then we also want to know which ward your primary business is located, whether it's the north, south, east, west, or central ward. Just check which ward your business is located in. Question 29. So please indicate your gross revenue sales in 2019 from the options below. So whatever your gross revenue sales were for 2019, you would just check the appropriate box. And then for question 30, it's actually the same question, except that it's for 2020. So whatever your gross revenues were for 2020, you would just check the appropriate box in question 30. So for question 31, have you applied for, or are you planning to seek additional emergency assistance for your business from any other source? So, this can be yes, or this can be no. If it's a yes, it will not eliminate you from receiving this grant. We just would like to know if you are planning to seek additional emergency assistance from any other source. And if so, you would just indicate in the box below. And for 32, have your costs increased due to impact of this crisis? For example, any video conferencing subscriptions, additional sanitation measures, just please describe in a brief narrative in that box, any costs that have increased due to the impact of this crisis. So at the end of the application, there will be some attestations, and 33 just indicates lawsuits that you as the applicant represent, and warrants that you are not currently involved in any litigation, or presently unaware of any pending or threatened litigation. Number 34, that you have no outstanding city balances, that everything is pretty much paid to date and current, and that there's nothing outstanding owed to the city. And then number 35, no duplication of benefit. So for whatever expenses you are seeking for this grant cannot be paid. So if you receive funding from another source and the expenses have already been paid, you cannot submit those same expenses to the city for this grant. So this grant cannot cover expenses that were already paid by another funding source, whether it's state, local, or federal. And then question number 34. So you just understand at this point that you have to submit all required documentation in order for your application to be complete. So your valid business license, if you're not exempt, your 2019 and 2020 corporate tax returns or your quarterly filings, your payroll and employee information, your evidence of hardship, your state issued MBE and or WBE certificate, and the tax return 8829 if you are a home-based business. So you have to submit that. And then 37, accurate information, that you certify that the statements that you made in the application are true. So Tim, do you want to speak a little bit about the attachment uploads that are required for supporting documents, just in case people have questions on how they should be uploaded and from what source?
Sure, Janine, no problem. Be happy to. And thanks for giving that as a good synopsis on the application here. Anyways, yes, so it's a pretty basic procedure for for this section. All it is basically just, you basically click on the link where it says click to upload. Don't click on any of these unless you're planning on using them. Like for instance, Dropbox, your Gmail account, Google Drive, anything like that. So, generally speaking, I would assume most people are going to be uploading them from their, or computer or their mobile phone. So all you'd have to do is just click and select files to upload. You can just go to, any kind of file here. Just click it, PDF, Word, Excel files are fine. JPEG files are fine. Pretty much any of the most common file types available. So all you have to do, just click the file, highlight it, click open, and it'll upload, and just click upload to complete it. And that is it. Just may take a few seconds. And so just an important thing to note as well too, in terms of the business license. So if your business is considered exempt for this requirement, and we can maybe address this in the Q&A as well, Janine, in terms of which businesses are exempt. But basically, if you are exempt, you just need to demonstrate that you're registered with the state. So in lieu of a Newark business license, you would just have to basically provide a state issued business registration certificate or your state issued business license in lieu of the Newark license itself. However, as Janine mentioned earlier, though, if you're a non-exempt business, you will still have to provide that Newark issued business license to be considered eligible. So just going down to 39. These are just basic tax forms. 1065 form is fine. An S corporation form is fine as well for the types of returns. As long as they're not your individual tax returns. That's a very important note to make here. If you do just upload your individual tax returns and there's no reflection of your profit and loss on the return for your business, then unfortunately you'll be deemed ineligible and we won't be able to complete your review and approve you for any kind of funding. So the next item here is, as Janine mentioned, is tax return form 8829. It's only for home-based businesses. And then basically internal business financials. This, is pretty much illustrated in your tax returns. So which is why we made it optional. If there's any other thing you want to indicate or just kind of elaborate on in your financials, that's perfectly fine. We can just accept this typically as an Excel spreadsheet or even a table on Microsoft Word or any kind of way you normally do it is fine, as long as it's just a commonly used file type. And so 42 is this one's very important. This one basically is attached to a big part of our scoring rubric here, which is basically based on the amount of Newark employees that are employed by your business. So we just need the list of their names, their addresses, and an income to verify this information. And then 43 is this is also another important one, to establish the proven need for your business. So this is just evidence of hardship and losses. Any kind of financial losses that you've incurred due to COVID-19. We just need to see some documentation that supports the claims that you've made on your application. So in this case, you can submit any past due invoices, rent or mortgage statements, utility bills, canceled checks, bank or credit card statements, are fine as well. Just an important thing to note for bank and credit card statements, we just need to have the specific expenses itemized. It just can't be a list of, basically just profit and losses and kind of just numbers on a spreadsheet. We need to, basically it needs to be demonstrated what the expenses were, when they were incurred, which basically both pretty much all banks and credit card statements cover this already, but just to be clear. And then the last item here is basically just the state issued minority owned business MB, or basically women-owned business enterprise WB certification. That's provided by the state of New Jersey, typically, and that is similar to your state business registration. It's the same type of letterhead, and it's issued by the state. So that will also just be needed to just confirm your claims, if applicable, as to being a minority or women-owned business enterprise. So that's it. So it's basically it's the same procedure for every single one of these uploads. And then once you've uploaded everything, you can just go to submit down here at the bottom right. And what you'll do, what will happen is you'll receive a receipt and an email confirmation with your application number, and also just basically the same type of message as you see here, confirming that we received it, and just giving you a brief outline of when the reviews will take place and when the funds will be awarded, which will be, as I believe Janine may have mentioned earlier, was October. Yeah, it's going to be October 2021, next month. We'll be completing the reviews, and the notifications and awards will be made in November 2021. And this will, all businesses who have applied will be awarded regardless of whether they were approved or declined. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, another thing to note too, just kind of going back in terms of the functionality of the application itself. To translate, basically you can click here. We just included a section in Spanish, Portuguese, and French. And basically what this will do is just translate the application here. So we go here, and it's going to be the same exact application in those three different languages. And essentially, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, Janine, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, just one more thing. So, we just would like to stress that when applying, that you, gather all your documentation and make sure that the documentation is complete. As I mentioned, the grant funds will not be dispersed on a first come, first served basis. They're going to be scored. So we rather for you to kind of take your time and make sure you submit everything that is required, because we don't want your application to be rejected based on something you may have missed. So just make sure that you have everything complete at the time that you submit your application, because once again, you cannot save the application and then go back. You will have to submit and upload everything at one time. So just make sure that you have everything that you need at the time that you sit down to apply. So that's very important.
Yeah, that absolutely, Janine. That's I would definitely agree with that. And also just another thing to note as well, if in the off chance that you made a mistake or you accidentally attached the wrong document and you submitted the application, you can always just fill out a new application. There's no limit to how many times you can submit an application. Obviously, don't do it 10 times, and that's just just a little bit more of a review process for us. But yeah, that's there's no limit to that, so you should be free to submit an application with the correct information.
Thanks, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was great, Janine and Tim. Thank you so much for talking about the small business grant application for round 4 here in the city of Newark. For those that are just tuning in, we have started our informational session about how small businesses can access resources from the city of Newark, from the New Jersey Economic Development Corporation, and also from the Greater Newark Enterprises Corporation. So we have more to come, and we're going to have Maggie Peters next up with the New Jersey Economic Development Administration. So as she's getting ready to share with you some great information around not only small businesses accessing additional resources, but also help after Hurricane Ida. So there's so many great things that'll be discussed from Maggie, and we're just really glad she could be here. So remember, everybody, this recording on Facebook Live can be replayed after tonight. Second, it can be heard both in English and Spanish. And if you would like it to be translated into Portuguese, please reach out to ehd@ci.newark.nj.gov or reach out to Capital Consulting at investnewark.org. So I just wanted to introduce Invest Newark as another key partner as Maggie's getting ready. Invest Newark is the Economic Development Corporation here in the city of Newark. And I know we have several representatives from Invest Newark on. We cannot do programs like this without great partners in the city, and Invest Newark is definitely one of our key partners. So we're so grateful for them to be on the call today, and also for all the outreach they did to get everyone teed up to join us on this Facebook Live. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Maggie Peters, the New Jersey Economic Development Administration, and we're so excited to hear from you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just going to go ahead and share. Okay, so I'm going to start by talking about the Main Street Recovery Finance Program. So this suite of products was approved at NJEDA's August 11th board meeting. So I'm going to take you through the suite of products and the initial product offerings that are going to launch in the coming months. Okay, so the Main Street Recovery Finance Program in total is a $100 million appropriation, and it's going to fund several products. Some of those products are going to be grants to small businesses, which I'm going to talk about first. The second is loans to micro businesses. We're going to launch another round of micro business loans for micro and small businesses. And then we're going to lend to our CDFIs, MDIs, zone development corporations, community economic development corporations, and economic development corporations. This is how we can get more money onto the street to our small businesses. So these are going to be our initial product offerings. The small business lease grant we expect will launch mid to late October 2021. And the small business improvement grant shortly after that, maybe November 2021. So the business lease grant is going to provide grant funding to offset a portion of lease payments for businesses leasing either new or additional space. And the small business improvement grant is a reimbursement grant for business owners making investments in their businesses, either interior or exterior building improvements, or purchasing and installing furniture, fixtures, or equipment, FF&E. The small business lease grant has an allocation of $10 million of that $100 million allocation. 40% of this grant money is going to be set aside for businesses located in eligible opportunity zone census tracts, where this grant is going to provide a portion of the lease payments, but the leases must be a minimum of a 5-year term. And the lease must have been executed within the last 12 months prior to the date of the application in order to be eligible. So the way that this grant is going to be dispersed is the first payment or disbursement is going to be allocated on the front end right when you're signing your grant agreement. And that amount will be 20% of your annual lease payment at time of application. And then you'll get a second disbursement of 20% again, but it will be after 12 months of lease payments have been paid for 20% of your annual lease payment at that time, 12 months from application. So these are two different calculations. And applicants with multiple locations are limited to one application per location. And we've decided for this product that we were going to do an approval fee of a nominal $100 at time of grant agreement. So at that point, we've decided to forego the application fee so that nobody loses money if they're not going to get through the process. So once you've almost gone through the process and you're at a grant agreement position, then that's when you would pay your $100. Applicant eligibility for the small business lease grant. So this grant is for commercial businesses and not-for-profits, and applicants must meet the following eligibility. So we're using the SBA definition for a small business determined by an applicant's NAICS code. Applicants must provide a current, clear tax clearance certificate. You must be in good standing with the Department of Labor and Department of Environmental Protection. You must certify at time of application that you're not in default of any other state or NJEDA assistance. You have to certify at application that you will pay wages that are greater than $15 an hour or 120% of minimum wage. Tipped employees are required to be paid 120% of minimum wage. So these wage requirements are in effect for the term of the grant agreement, which is 5 years. And of course, you must commit to remaining in the facility for at least 5 years. So in terms of your lease eligibility, you have to be leasing 250 to 10,000 square feet of office, commercial, or retail space with a minimum 5-year term. So industrial is not eligible, warehouse is not eligible. Only the first 10,000 square feet of a larger lease is eligible for grant support. So if you were leasing 50,000, only that 10,000 square feet would be eligible for grant support. It must be a new lease or an amendment or extension of an existing lease. New or amended space must be at least 250 square feet larger than the prior space. To be eligible, everybody would have to have included first floor street level space. You can lease more than one floor that doesn't include street level space, but there would have to be street level space included. So it can be street level in a basement, street level and something above, but no matter what, it has to be street level space. This is a Main Street grant. Your lease must be market rate. And that's something that we will be reviewing, internally at the EDA, making sure that you're paying market rate using comparable real estate information. And your lease cannot be executed more than 12 months prior to the application date. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the Small Business Improvement Grant, which is a $15 million allocation. We've set aside 40% of this $15 million as well for businesses located in eligible opportunity zone census tracts. This grant provides funding equal to 50% of the total project cost with a maximum of $50,000. The grant funding can be used for interior or exterior renovations, the purchase of installation of new FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and it has to be a minimum project cost of $5,000. For the Small Business Improvement Grant, there is a limit of 1 grant per EIN. So if you are, like a yogurt shop that has several locations or something like that, you'd be able to bundle those expenses as long as all of your locations operate under the same EIN. For this program, same thing. It's only an approval fee of $100 at the time of approval when you're executing your grant agreement. Commercial businesses and not-for-profits are eligible. Most of the same requirements for the Small Business Lease Grant are the same for the Small Business Improvement Grant. You must meet the definition of a small business according to the SBA. You have to rent or own and operate from the facility that you put in your application as a commercial business. You're going to have to provide a current, clear tax clearance certificate and be in good standing with our sister agencies, Department of Labor and Department of Environmental Protection. You'll have to certify at the time of application that you're not in default of any programs with EDA or the state. And then the same wage requirements apply, that you have to pay the greater of $15 an hour or 120% of minimum wage, with tipped employees required to be paid 120% of minimum wage. Okay, so project eligibility. So this is a reimbursement, just to recap, this is a reimbursement of interior or exterior building improvements or the purchase and installation of furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Home-based businesses may only receive a reimbursement for the purchase of FF&E. No improvements to your home-based business. The work must be complete on or after March 9th, 2020. But the most important thing to remember is that it can't have been, it has to have been completed 2 years prior to the application date. No more than 2 years prior to the application date, the work must be complete. You have to provide documentation, just like the Newark grant, proving that your payment was made for the completed work, and the amount of the documentation should equal the invoices and all the documentation should support that request. The total project cost must be $5,000. The applicant is responsible for all of the local approvals and zoning and building permits and things like that. Projects over $50,000 are subject to green building standards, but only for lighting and mechanical work. And if the applicant leases space, then landlord permission to make the improvements is required. So there will be a form that you download with your application for your landlord to sign. And projects using contractors with 4 or more employees may be subject to affirmative action requirements. So they'd have to have more than 4 employees, period, not just working on your project. And that would trigger those affirmative action requirements. Okay, so just a recap of the Main Street Recovery Fund requirements. We have the wage requirements. Employees must be paid the greater of $15 an hour or 120% of minimum wage, and then tipped employees 120% of minimum wage. This is something that the EDA would monitor annually by collecting either a WR-30 or some type of payroll report or equivalent documentation, making sure that you're in compliance with the wage requirements. Green building standards would apply for projects over $50,000. Affirmative action. Contractors with more than 4 employees would be subject to affirmative action requirements. And if you receive this grant, you have to remain in the facility and pay this minimum wage for 5 years following the grant agreement, and that'll all be in the grant agreement. For grants of less than $25,000, businesses must commit to remaining in the facility and meeting the wage requirements for 2 years following the grant agreement. And for grants of $25,000 or more, the commitment to remain in the facility and pay the wage requirements would be for 4 years following the grant agreement. Okay, so those were the Main Street products. And now I'm going to go into some of the emergency assistance products that were just launched, and you'll be able to apply for them on Friday the 17th. And I just want to say right from the start that they're first come, first served. So at 9 o'clock on Friday the 17th, if you're somebody who did have storm damage, please be ready to apply on the EDA website, and I'll show you the website on one of my slides. So for this, it's a support measure to help businesses and not-for-profits that were impacted by Hurricane Henri or Hurricane Ida. It's open to businesses and not-for-profits that have up to 50 full-time equivalent employees and a commercial location in New Jersey. You have to have suffered physical damage as a result of these 2 hurricanes. So this pot of money is $10.5 million, and 1/3 of those funds are going to be reserved for businesses in eligible opportunity zone census tracts. And this is a pilot program at this point, but if additional funds become available and there is still a need, we'll refund that pot, we'll refill that pot of money. And so this is, a rent or mortgage reimbursement from between $1,000 to $5,000. So the EDA will provide the grants for eligible applicants, but you will have to demonstrate an unmet need for support of August rent or mortgage payment, and the cap is $5,000, so anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. You'll have to show that unmet need. You'll have to document the damages and the revenue loss if your business was closed at all. And then the grants will be received to pay for August rent or mortgage, and they're dispersed solely as a reimbursement. So you'll have to provide documentation in order to receive any of this grant money. Capital expenses such as remediation or construction are not eligible uses of this funding. Okay, so here's a breakdown of the eligibility. Businesses and not-for-profits that have up to 50 full-time equivalent employees, and we're going to be looking at the WR-30 for Q2 2021 to document that. August rent or mortgage payment of at least $1,000. Damages or revenue loss as a result of Hurricane Henri or Ida greater than $1,000 to be eligible. The applicant must have a physical commercial location in the state of New Jersey, office, physical point of sales, warehouse, whatever. And of course, you have to be registered to do business in the state of New Jersey at time of application and provide evidence, your BRC printed out from the site, ensuring that you are in good standing. And you have to satisfy the New Jersey Department of Taxation's requirement that the business or not-for-profit has no outstanding tax debts due to the state, tax clearance, and then, of course, good standing with relevant regulatory agencies. And entities can submit only one application per EIN for this grant. We have ineligible businesses, and these are the categories: landlords, home-based businesses, gambling or gaming, adult activities, auctions or bankruptcy, sales of transient merchants, Christmas tree sales with other outdoor storage, and any activity that constitutes a nuisance or anything that's illegal, of course. And here are all the questions that you will need to be able to answer yes to in order to qualify to receive this funding. Does your business have a physical commercial business location in the state? Did your business have a physical commercial location that sustained damage? So the damage has to be at that commercial location. And of course, power loss doesn't count. It would have to be some flooding, structural damage, roof damage, stuff like that. And then you'll have to be able to provide evidence of that physical damage, photos count, repair, invoices, anything like that. And that will have to be uploaded with your application. Your business has to have been in operation on August 1st, 2021. Ask yourself, did you make in August 2021 rent or mortgage payment in excess of $1,000 so that your rent has to exceed $1,000? Can you provide evidence of rent or mortgage payment, a copy of that payment, and that has to be uploaded with your application? And was the physical damage to the commercial location and the business interruption at least $1,000? And of course, landlords are not eligible for this program. Here is the link to the application. The application is opening at 9 o'clock sharp on September 17th. It is first come, first served. So I encourage anyone who meets the eligibility to be in there, just before 9 o'clock, because this money can get spent pretty quick. And that's it for me.
That was great, Maggie. Thanks. Really glad you could be with us this evening, because tonight, not only do we hear about a program in the city of Newark that's available today for people to apply, we're also hearing about programs that are being offered by New Jersey EDA that people can apply for very soon. And so it helps to keep everybody informed. And we're, again, so grateful that you agreed to come tonight and share this information. And for our listening audience, know that, again, this will all be available on the Facebook Live page, and you can absolutely listen again to each of the components of the presentation to get the details, because each program is different but similar. So we want you to make sure that you're able to see the differences and how they can best assist you throughout this whole process as you're recovering and as we continue to recover within the city of Newark and across the state. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Victor Salama. And Victor, I know you are with the Greater Newark Enterprises Corporation.
Yep.
So glad you're with us tonight. Excited to hear about what you have to share here. And after your presentation, we will open it up for some Q&A before we close out for the evening. But Victor, please feel free to share. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ladd, and really kudos to the city for coming up with the fourth round. Really exciting to see. A lot of great businesses out there that need the help. And of course, thank you, Maggie, and the NJDA team for not only supporting businesses, but also nonprofits like ourselves, CDFIs, that help businesses as well. So we really appreciate that. Let me just share my screen, and then we can see here. And I'll be quick and just sharing some things. I hope you can see that. So we are the Greater Newark Enterprises Corporation. We are Newark based. We've been established Been around since 2005, and we are a nonprofit CDFI, which is a community development financial institution. And what we do is we are a micro enterprise development organization. We support micro and small businesses, mostly in Essex County. I'd say that throughout our history, probably between 65 and 70% of our lending and technical assistance programs have been offered to businesses in Essex, but we do support businesses as well in several other northern New Jersey counties. And what we do is we are trying to support community commerce in underserved communities, and also support underbanked entrepreneurs. So that's what we do. And I'm just going to highlight a couple of things, talk about them quickly, because probably a lot of questions can come up in the Q&A. So we have two things. We have lending programs and we have technical assistance programs. I'll be quick about the lending programs. This is since we're really talking about the fourth round of grants, but there may be a lot of businesses that apply, and they may overwhelm the grant funds. So GNEC is here as a lending institution as well, and we have a number of options for you. We have a business builder program, which is loans from anywhere from $10,000 to $60,000. But anything above that, we can partner with other great CDFIs like Lease, like NJCC, and you can check all these out. We have a Newark CDFI coalition also that we work a lot together. So these are underwritten. A lot of the questions that the grant application has, and what Maggie highlighted in some of the questions that NJEDA asks, we will ask the same thing. We will analyze the viability of any potential prospect and potential client, and we'll provide you feedback. We do have something called the Dreammaker loan. I know some of you have been emailing about startup funds. The Dreammaker loan are uncollateralized loans up to, it says they're up to $5,000, but now we've bumped it up to $10,000, and they're usually used for seed capital, initial inventory, equipment purchase. So if you're in the startup phase, reach out to us. We can discuss a potential Dreammaker loan. It's not a grant, so it's not free money, for sure, but it is, with competitive interest rates. So we can talk about that, and we can walk you through the process. The one thing about both the Business Builder and the Dreammaker products is the fact that you really have to have a clear understanding of who your target audience is, what the opportunity is. Those are questions that we are going to ask you. We'll definitely delve into your, financial viability, but we really need to understand if you truly understand the opportunity that you're jumping into. That's really critical, and the process takes a while because we will ask you, but once those questions are answered, clearly we'll be able to move forward. We do have a small lending program called the Credit Builder program. If you don't have credit or you have weak credit, we can give you a loan up to $500, and you pay that off over a year, and that can help improve your credit score. We do have something called the Entrepreneurs of Color COVID-19 Relief Fund program, and that is something that we are continuing to do. And again, much like what Maggie outlined in some of the offerings that NJEDA is offering, you have to show some hardship that you through the pandemic in order to meet some of the eligibility for these loans program. And again, it's very simple. You can go online and you can click a couple of buttons, and our team will call you and start analyzing your viability. But I didn't just want to highlight the lending programs. What I really wanted to do, because the city asked us here, a lot of it around technical assistance. We are an organization that provides a lot of technical assistance to micro and small businesses, and we really want you to access these technical assistance programs. We've set up partnerships, whether it's from Eiffel or the Women's Center for Entrepreneurship, and also we have internal capacity to offer technical assistance, which basically means we can help you with your business plan reviews, some writing guidance. We certainly focus a lot of the financial aspects. Many of us, when I launched my business, one of the areas that I thought I needed assistance on is making sure that I understood my financial projections over 3 years. And that's something that we can help you with. trying to figure out, what's your break-even point? How do you put together a strong P&L? Those are things that we can offer, and we do it, a lot of it on a one-on-one basis. We have some workshops, we have some guided conversations in a group setting around these areas. Certainly, what we do is we help people understand what in terms of business registration, insurance, legal issues, all those types of things we help. And we certainly helped a lot of people around basic bookkeeping, just sort of understanding how that works, especially when you're about to launch a business or you've just started. You really sometimes don't focus on sort of the nitty-gritty details of bookkeeping. So we can help you with that. We've got a series of workshops. These are 2 workshops that we're highlighting just in September. One of them is figuring out how do you recover your business from a downturn. We'll have Christy Phillips join us. She's going to talk about her story about how her business sort of thrived and then really took a sharp decline during an economic downturn, and how she built it up, and some of the processes that she's learned, and she's sharing her expertise with whoever wants to join us on September 21st. And again, focusing a lot as well on sort of the accounting aspect and the processes of that and how to track. And then one thing that we serve, as I mentioned, we serve the underserved and the underbanked. Our goal is to graduate businesses to be bankable. And one of the things that we are pushing is getting our clients to become bankable through building their business credit. So we're going to have DNB, Dun & Bradstreet experts, come and join us on the 28th, talk about how to turn your business credit, into something really strong and viable. Most of the clients that come to us really come and they give us their own personal financials and things like that, and we build sort of a case around their personal credit. But once you have a business, you should really build that business credit, and there's ways to do that. So these are the types of things that we offer, and we continually offer these. These are 2 that I wanted to highlight. We've got a couple of other exciting aspects. One of the things that we're offering now is a back office support program for some of you, again, who are just starting out in business. You may not want to focus on the bookkeeping, setting up your chart of accounts, just the basic stuff around HR. So what we're doing is we're rolling out a new program to give that technical assistance to small and micro businesses around basic things like bookkeeping, payroll, budgeting, goal setting, and things like that. And while there's going to be a fee, it's going to be a fee-based program. These are heavily subsidized programs, grant makers such as some corporations and JDA have helped us helping us put together this, so it's exciting. We also have a really exciting technical assistance program to support women entrepreneurs of color from Newark and in the bordering towns, and we are offering e-commerce assistance, marketing assistance through a series of coaching sessions and videos and materials. So we are here for the community. I just wanted to put our contact information out because really the easiest way to do it is to go to our website, which is gnecorp.org, and you can click on our services tab, and you can check out and fill out all your needs, and we'll get back to you and speak to you. Again, we are a nonprofit, we are a CDFI. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be serving the community, particularly those, from underserved and underbanked areas and communities. So we look forward to have you reach out. There's my email. There's the info at gneccorp.org, which we will respond, within 24 hours to you, and we can have a conversation. If we can't help you, we will pass you to different organizations locally that can. We work together in team, really as a cohort here in the city of Newark. There's a lot of great interaction among different organizations. So we're here for you. And I just wanted to keep it short and sweet because I know it's getting late in the evening. So that's it for me, Deputy Mayor Ladd. Thank you for the opportunity. Looking forward to have everyone reach out and chatting.
That's great, Victor. Thank you. Again, so time to join the city of Newark and sharing that great information with our small businesses and residents in our city. And I'm sure others in Essex County are also watching because you can always get a good piece of information sometimes from a Facebook Live here or there. So always good to have our neighboring jurisdictions with us as well tonight. So thanks, Victor. And I think you said something that's great as we're getting ready to answer some questions and answers, is that partnership, and that we're a network, and that we're a team, and that no matter who you're asking, whether it's the EDA or GNEC or Invest Newark or the City of Newark or any others that are here, we all want our small businesses and our residents to really recover from this COVID-19 pandemic. We know that it's been a long 18 months for many of us, and that we're hopeful to see the other side of it very soon. And a lot of that does come from all of us becoming vaccinated. And I know there are sites across the city, across the state, and across the country that are helping our individuals get vaccinated during this time so that we can reopen in a way where we're not wearing masks all the time. So really looking forward to that day. But in the meantime, we bring programs, funding, resources to everyone so that you can operate during this time as well. So but thank you for reminding us of the fact that we all are partners, we're a team, and we're here to do and serve the best we can. So with that, I'd like to ask Theo to join us. Theo, I believe you're going to help us with some questions and answers. I saw a few that came in the chat. Are you able to still do that with us tonight?
Yep, so I'll start you off with a very simple one. Where can people apply for these programs, and what are the deadlines?
So for the City of Newark Small Business Assistance Grant, you can go to our COVID website, which is newarkcovid19.com. And the deadline to submit an application is September 24th by 5 p.m.
Okay, another resident asks, is a mobile good truck eligible?
That's a great question. We have seen our food trucks and mobile businesses out in our neighborhood. I'll ask Janine and Tim if we've determined that for the application or if it's something we're still considering.
Yeah, Director, that's correct. So they are eligible. There was actually a business that we awarded in round 3 that was a mobile food truck. So yeah, as long as you meet the eligibility requirements and submit all your supporting documentation, then yeah, you will be eligible for this program.
How about someone who runs their business out of their home, say a nail tech or someone who does hair?
Yeah, that's those businesses are also eligible. We just need there's a section actually for the supporting documentation though that it's tax return form 8829 that will be required to upload in order to demonstrate that.
Okay, and one resident asks, if you filed an extension for the 2020 tax year, can you send your 2019 and 2018 paperwork?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Janine, do you want to take that one?
That's right. Yes, so if you have filed an extension, you can submit your 2018 and your 2019 taxes. That is acceptable, yes.
Okay, you guys are handling this like these are all just like lobs. And what about business owners who received PPP loans? Does this affect your eligibility?
So if you have received other state, local, or federal grants, it does not affect your eligibility as long as the documentation that you submit for reimbursement has not already been covered by one of those state, local, or federal grants.
Theo, this is a really important part, I think, that Janine's mentioning, is that we want our businesses and our business community to apply for other resources. Absolutely. But we know that our resources are limited. So this round is 2 million that's available, and we want it to go as far and wide as it can. So we want to reach as many businesses during this time. So when Janine's talking about the fact that we don't want businesses to submit for expenses that have been previously paid for by another program, it's because we have to go through a documentation compliance review prior to us being able to finalize the award and make payment. So that's the key takeaway here, is that once we're going through this application process, the selection process, and we award, we do go through a compliance process whereby we double check everything prior to us being able to release the funds directly to the business. So it's just something to be mindful for all our businesses out there.
And we have one resident asking, are online/e-commerce clothing stores considered exempt from Newark business licenses?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I can tell you that right now. Just give me 1 second. And thank you, Vanessa. Actually, you were the one who provided me with this information the other day, so it's just a list of all the exemptions here. All right, just 1 second. Okay, yeah. So basically, for that, if you're a home-based business, and you don't have any other physical location within the city of Newark for this, for your primary business location, you would be exempt from the license from the city of Newark.
Okay, and say the same, or someone owns 2 businesses in the city of Newark, would they be able to apply for both?
No, that's the thing. So it has to just be your
One
primary business location.
Yes. Okay. I saw another question. We actually have a few residents asking for more information on the startup funding. So maybe Victor, you will be able to take that one.
Sure, glad to do so. I mean, so we have the Dreammaker program that is a loan though of up to $10,000. So I just want to be clear on that, right? So that way, if you guys call us and you say, wait, what happened to the grant funding? We do not have grant funds. That is a city initiative. We have lending capital that we provide at very, very affordable rates, but we have provided Dreammaker loans to startups, so long as you can really, really explain your strengths, the opportunities in the marketplace, and really, really explain your business model to us. There's a good chance that you'll be able to get a loan.
And also too, we will make considerations for startups as well in this application, which is why we're giving you the option to submit your quarterly filings for 2021. So I know the application currently does say must be open for at least 1 year within the city from the date of submitting the application, but we will still give consideration to startups based on the proven need, and also just basically the type of documentation that you submit. But yeah, you will have to submit at least 1 quarter of tax filings for 2021 to be considered.
Yes, and we have another resident asking, what if you filed your 2020 taxes and it shows that you didn't make any revenue?
If you file, so that is one of the reasons why we asked for your 2019 and your 2020 taxes, so that we can compare. So if you did not make any revenue for 2020, then it would show us that there was some type of impact from COVID. So that's okay. That's why we asked for both years, so that we can see the impact that COVID may have had on your business.
That's right. Yeah, as long as you're still operational to some capacity, it doesn't have to be obviously operational at 100% capacity. For instance, if you're a restaurant and you're just doing delivery, and you've laid off a lot of staff, and that's the only really option you have, that still counts as being operational within the city of Newark.
Okay, and the last question would be, are construction companies eligible to take part in this? I imagine the answer would be yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as the business meets the eligibility requirements, then you are eligible, yes.
Okay, and I think it would help a lot of people in the comments if everyone could just tell the website and where to find the applications, and pretty much deadlines if they are out already.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share the link right now. So there we go. And yeah, so it's Newark. Yeah, so I actually just shared it with the chat, Theo. So it's newarkcovid19.com. And then if you scroll down the page a little bit, there's actually a business section. And if you'll click on that, it's actually, and then it's round 4 of the small business grants. And then once you click on that, you'll see a section that says apply now, and then that'll take you directly to the application.
And is there a deadline set yet or no?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's yeah. So it's going to be September 24th at 5 p.m.
Okay, great.
So yeah, next Friday at 5 p.m.
Maggie, would you like to share New Jersey EDA's information?
Yeah, so I just put it in the chat. The soonest thing happening is this Friday, the 17th at 9 o'clock. The grants open for disaster recovery, $1,000 to $5,000.
That's great. Thank you. Theo, do we have any more questions?
I'm not seeing any more.
I actually, you know what, Director, I have one on our end here too. I'm not sure if they're still here, but yeah, they just asked, yeah, pretty simple one. I mean, they just asked if they could submit another application, with improved information after already submitting one. And yeah, that's fine. If you could just let us know the main, if you're submitting a second application or even a third, the main thing is that you just email us at ehd@ci.newark.nj.us, just informing us of that. And then just giving us the most recent application number, or whichever application number you prefer to use, which will be included in your email receipt after you submit it.
Deputy Mayor, I just remembered one instance that I've heard in the previous rounds. So say someone submitted an application and then they get an email back saying that something was invalid. Who would they reach out to? Is there a number or email that they would be able to reach out to so then they can work through it with someone?
Sure. So that's going to be the same email address too. It's just ehd@ci.newark.nj.us. And actually, you know what? Sorry, I just realized I never put that in the chat there. And they can also call. They can call our number as well, which I'll include in the chats, which is also just the departmental number, and we can assist them if need be. So.
Thanks, Tim. And yes, Theo. So we can take questions through the email address ehd@ci.newark.nj.us. And we can also accept calls as needed as well. But the best way and the fastest way is to email us at ehd@ci.newark.nj.us. And we have a team of people who actually will respond to questions. Just to echo Tim's point about the applicant who may want to resubmit the application, yes, you can resubmit the application, but we encourage you to email us and let us know that you submitted something that would be more recent than maybe one you submitted over the weekend. So please let us know so that we score the right application and we score it properly. But we are available. We were working with Invest Newark, so I know Invest Newark at Capital Consulting at investnewark.org is also available to assist. So we are all working to really help everyone apply for programs within the city of Newark, within the state, within our partners at GNEC and others across the Essex County and region. And so we're just really grateful for everyone to come out today. So as we're closing, wanted to thank our wonderful panelists who joined us this evening and provided all this great information for our small businesses. Feel free, everyone, to replay this session, and you can even scroll fast and fast forward to the section that you're most interested in. And so you can learn how to apply for all of the funds that are available as we recover from COVID-19. And we really want your businesses to thrive in our city of Newark. And we're looking forward to hearing from you as you apply for this upcoming round and anything at the EDA as well as GNEC. So wanted to say thank you again to everybody. We hope you have a wonderful evening and stay tuned for more information about how we're continuing to roll out programs for our residents and businesses in our city. So have a great night.